Alright, what's up guys? This is Aaron here, Disc Golf, and today I want to talk about flight numbers as well as plastic types and stability and how all these things affect the stability of a disc. So to start, we can grab my Z Undertaker and we can see the flight numbers. They're 9, 5, -1, 2, and it has a stability rating of 1.4. So what do these numbers mean? We'll start with the stability rating. That means how overstable the disc is going to fly. The higher the number, the more stable it's going to be, so the further left it's going to get. And if it had like a number like, let's take this Avenger SS, it has a 0.5. This is a more understable disc, so this is going to hold to the right on a right-hand backhand shot a little longer. So let's start with speed. Speed is essentially it's a number that essentially means distance potential. If you have an arm speed that's able to throw a 9 speed, then you're probably going to be able to get the most out of a 9-speed disc. Especially something with a stability like that, you're going to be able to get a nice long flight out of a 9-speed disc and get a good fade out of it with some hold and glide throughout the flight as well. Then we have glide. Glide is how long the disc is going to want to stay in the air. So if you got a 5 glide disc versus a 2 glide disc, 5 glide is going to want to stay up through the air towards the end of its flight. Whereas, let's say I've got a Firebird over here. This is 9 speed as well, but this wants to get to the ground a lot quicker. Things that want to get to the ground a lot quicker are also going to usually have better skip potential if you're throwing an overstable disc, whereas a slightly less stable disc with more glide is going to want to just rest to the ground and won't get quite as much skip most of the time unless you exaggerate the angle. Then we've got turn. Turn is usually it goes anywhere from 1 to -4, maybe -5. I've never thrown anything that's that far understable, but a negative number means how much, when you throw a backhand shot, a righty backhand, how much the disc is going to want to turn over. So if you have a negative number, that's going to usually mean a little bit of understability on your disc. So if you are able to get the disc to the right speed, you're going to get some flip out of it. And then we've got the fade. That's the exact opposite. That's where you get to the end of the flight and it's going to want to come back to the left and hyzer out. So let's say you got an Undertaker. If you're able to get this up to a 9 speed with your arm, then you're going to, essentially, it's going to be thrown. You're going to get a lot of glide out of it. You're going to get a little bit of turn, but it's eventually going to come back a little more than it turned. And that's essentially what these numbers mean, is just how your disc is going to fly if it is thrown correctly. Now let's talk about what makes a disc thrown correctly. It's the speed is relative to the arm speed that it's thrown at. A common misconception is people see a 13 or a 14 speed and they think, oh, that's going to go the furthest. But that's not really correct unless you just have a cannon of an arm. And even if that's the case, a lot of these pros, they get their furthest drives out of like 11 or 12 speed drivers as opposed to 14 speed drivers, because it just fits their arms better. So if you're going out and you're looking for a disc that's going, if you're a newer player especially, if you're looking for a disc that's going to go the furthest, don't look for something that is high speed. Instead, if you're newer to the game, you should look for something that has a lower stability rating. So if you're looking for a DGA or Discraft disc, you'll see this little number here, the one in black. The lower that number, the less stable it's going to be, and the more turn you're able to get out of a disc, the further glide potential you can see with a lot of people with lower arm speeds. So yeah, I think that's enough for that. Next, I want to talk about also how, on top of that, how plastics and plastic types are differing. So here I've got uh, DX Beast and a Pro D Avenger SS. These are pretty similar plastic types for their brands. These are base plastics. These are not durable at all in comparison to most other plastics. These will usually be a lot more understable out of the box as well compared to a lot of other plastic types. But they're great for beginners and people who are trying to maximize distance out of low arm speeds. I would recommend getting any baseline plastic to start, and that's a great way to start learning how discs fly and how they work. Another good option is biofusion or recycled plastic. These are basically recycled versions of Star or Gold Line, and then like Champ or Lucid type plastics, those kind of plastics. So we'll move into those. We have Champion and Lucid. These are pretty similar. They're basically the same type of plastic. These are really durable, and they're usually also the transparent plastics. If it doesn't say what it is, most of them they will say what they are plastic-wise. But these are really durable. They'll hold up for a long time, and this is they're a little less grippy than, let's say, Star or ESP or Gold Line or whatever the dynamic disc one is. But yeah, these will hold up for a long time, and these are probably the most potential to stay in people's bags the longest because of how durable they are. But then on top of that, we also have Star, Gold Line, ESP. These are pretty similar. They are also high durability, and they're pretty much the same stability a lot of the time as your Champ plastic. But then you also have the biofusion, recycled type plastics. Those are usually going to be a little easier to get understable since they are a little less durable. But your Star plastic, it's a lot more grippy than your Champion plastics or Lucid plastics, C-line plastics, but they will hold up in durability a pretty fair amount as well. I see a lot of like Champion or C-line style plastics that do hold up a little longer than my Gold Line, Star, ESP, but they both last a long time. So if you're looking for something that's going to be a little more stable out of the box, but something you want to gradually beat in for a lot longer of a time, I would go towards your Champion, C-Line, Lucid, or your Star, ESP, Gold Line type plastics. Yeah, so on top of that, I would like to just go and look at a stability chart. Discraft stability chart. I think it's a pretty good reference for if you're looking for something. I like Discrafts a lot because it is pretty user friendly. You can see things that turn very hard left, turns hard left, turns left, flies straight, turns right. And you can kind of gauge exactly what you're looking for. Lower speeds will be a lot easier to get them to do that. If you have a lower arm speed, higher speeds will be a little bit more difficult unless you do have a higher arm speed and better form. A lot of the time, all of this kind of stuff just comes down to form. If you don't have really good form, work on that with lower speed discs before you start throwing or trying to throw a nuke or a crank or a Zeus or a nuke OS or even a Force or a Punisher. Instead, maybe try a Mantis or an XL, Undertaker, Express, Heat, and maybe even just learn how to throw your 5 speeds and under, that kind of stuff, a lot better as well before that, because that will teach you how to throw with better touch and how to throw with better form all around. So, time for disc of the day. We've got the ESP Hades. This is the proto run, but I've thrown the stock run pretty good as well, pretty close to the same thing. I would suggest this to a lot of players, especially more intermediate players that are trying to throw 12-speed drivers and just aren't being able to get them to do anything but just go left. I think this is a great 12-speed to start throwing. It's pretty understable. I see a lot of people who are trying to just throw their drivers but just can't seem to get them to hold on to a line very long. Have a lot of success with this. It's pretty domey. It's not a super deep rim, so it's really comfortable in the hand. It's extremely grippy, and it just has so much glide. So if you're able to get it on a pretty flat shot and get it to hold, it's gonna get some distance, especially if you keep that nose down. So I would recommend this to a lot of newer to kind of been playing the game for a little while players. And then I'd also honestly recommend it for rollers for a lot of players that have been playing for quite a while. I've had a lot of success with these things as a roller. You can see it's pretty beat up because I've been throwing them on rollers, and they also just look so sick. I haven't seen one that doesn't look sweet. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this disc. And thanks again for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.